believe early on I had a feeling that there was something more than what I was being presented with. There was a lot of things that didn't feel right and didn't feel true. I wanted to find out what was going on out in the world. I ended up leaving school at an early age, high school, and hitchhiking across the U.S. My parents were divorced when I was young, which created some instability, caused me to kind of move into more of the role of a searcher looking for answers. I began a whole spiritual path as well of trying to be consciously engaged in my own personal development. Part of my healing journey involved exploring altered states of consciousness using psychedelics, LSD, psilocybin, and I became interested in other ways of achieving that egoless state, and eventually became a therapist, and I worked with traditional Hawaiians to learn the kind of esoteric type of massage called Lomi Ha'a Mauleola. Living in Hawaii was a huge opening. The whole practice of Lomi was moving everything through the heart, through the Aloha Center. That's like the filter that sorts everything out. Now I've come to realize there's a lot of interference. It's almost like static on a radio that sort of messes with that clear connection. I've learned a trade as a carpenter. I'd learned a trade as a therapist, and had done real estate and development work, and then taken training in designing aquaponics systems. And then I was motivated to get back to school and engaged in a master's program at Gaia University. Permaculture is a design system with principles that embrace ancient traditions, really, of being in harmony and in tune with the land. Our ecology is our economy. And that's where the real value lies, and how we can work in balance and listen and learn from nature is to me is really important. And it takes practice. We teach that in permaculture, observation, before we start to intervene. And if we can intervene from a place of connection to the living systems that surround us, then our interventions, the things that we make happen and manipulate and move around, are going to be much more balanced and ultimately produce a better result. My wife, Claudia, Sparky, I was in my mid-40s when we met. We kind of came together through our love of paddling and love of the ocean. And of course, we're very, very different backgrounds. She called me her groovy boyfriend because I was from California and kind of groovy. Her friends started calling me Hollywood.
Well, Teryl and I, we didn't come to this marriage without a lot of bruises, As my grandmother would say, there's a lid for every pot. To finally get my lid, we just fit. I was born in France. I was born in Maison Lafitte. My father and mother were students when they met, and they were married very young. Unfortunately, my parents' marriage fell apart when I was about 7 years old, and he came back to France, and he remained here for the rest of his life. Myself and my little sister came back to America. My mother had a very, very tough time of it, and leaned on me heavily. She couldn't make enough money teaching to keep a roof over our heads, so she had to take on 2 waiting table jobs, bartending. My mother's family was a family of service, always doing good by others. We had always grown up with this deep understanding of how you have to always reach down, reach out.
Old Ziegfeld girls?
I took a lot of dance classes, I'd get the newspaper out, there'd be an audition or a modeling thing. I'd go for everything. You get to express things you often cannot say. And it's just, there's just so much going on. It's thrilling. In the mid-'80s somewhere, my injuries started catching up. I had a lot of massage therapy over the years, as a dancer should. The therapist that I went to, he said, well, I'd be glad to treat you, but you'll have to come up to the school. I get up there, I walk in this place, and this is where I belong, because I'm always taking care of people. All the time. I started right then on the spot. I thought, well, I'm so good at this stuff. I'm so good at everything, ha ha. I asked him, I said, if I really get all this, the massage work done, I learn everything. Can I get out of here like in less time? He said, absolutely not. It's not about hands-on work. It's about the work you're going to do on yourself. You have to be able to face your own stuff before you put your hands on somebody else. I moved on into sports therapy from then on, and I just had one amazing experience after another. The most fun Olympics I went to probably was 92. The Dream Team basketball was there. I mean, oh my God. Come home to my father's house that I inherited to live out my days and maybe do some good in the world in a different way than I have for the other part of my life. When people come to Virsoleil and they spend time with me, I would really like them to leave here knowing they can always come back. Whatever they've done here is their part of Virsoleil. I want them to feel completely loved, nurtured, supported, and advanced, like ready to take on the world when they leave.
One of my mentors was Robert Tennyson Stevens. As we were there to help, he would say, we don't know who's coming and why. We don't know exactly what their challenges are, but we can hold them in their victory already happening. And it was really profound to understand that and embody that in, I can hold that space. And I don't even have to know what the details are. It's not something we advertise or we're trying to sell. Really, that piece is at the core of what we're doing here at Virsoleil. The other day I was just out walking and I just had this beautiful feeling of that my role has become that of a master weaver, how to pull these things together and do it in a beautiful way that enhances not just my life, but the lives of those who find their way here, the lives of the people I interact with in my local community.
If you're not right with yourself, it's all in your body. Get it out of your fascia, get it out of your muscles, because they keep every memory, they keep everything. My way of weaving in is they need that one-on-one. Tell me what's going on. Let's really get in there.
It really does bring together, I think Claudia and I talk about it, all of our life experiences, our knowledge, all the thousands of books we've read. I still have some lingering doubts about my ability to be a leader, to be a manager, to be a mentor. And I think the next level is just to allow that to just filter out and just really settle into being completely present here and trusting that it's perfect.
That's been our mission for the last 3.5 years, to really start opening up our little piece of paradise to as many people who find themselves coming this way.